Hi everyone, my name is Maria. I'm known as Velo Sews on social media and welcome to my sewing studio. It's great to see you all again and hi to all the new people who are watching. Grab a cuppa now. Today's top is McCalls 6614. It's a dark brown knit from Minerva.com that I sewed in June, and it's getting a wearing today because even though it's winter here in Sydney, it's actually not that cold today, so I could basically swan around in one layer. The only advice I can give you if you decide to delve into sewing clothes in brown, because that seems to be the colour at the moment, make sure you hold the fabric up against your face to see if it actually does something for you or it doesn't. I know it's a trend, so you decide whether you want to pick it or not. So last week I told you about how I went to the virtual sewing room and hung out with a bunch of really good-hearted sewing people who were in the process of sewing PICC Line covers for Melanie Keane. The PICC Line is something that ends up being put on into your upper arm when you're going through cancer treatments. On Monday, this is the fabric that I chose. I thought it might be something that people who have a cat might like, or people who like to wear pink would want to have covering their PICC line. I think I probably made about 16 in total, and ranging from small, medium and large. And they're on their way to the UK now, so Melanie, I hope that they get there fairly quickly. So this year, while I've been trying to organise my sewing room, which is an absolute mess most of the time, and I have got a few different areas that are much more workable now than they used to be, I found all of my silhouette patterns. Silhouette Patterns was pretty much the first sewing company I came across that emphasised picking the size based on the finished garment, how you want to wear the garment. Once you realise how to pick your size, you're pretty much home and hosed. Part of culling in my sewing room meant that I actually found some dark grey Ponte fabric as well as all of my silhouette patterns that I have purchased, and I think I've probably got about 10 silhouette patterns in my stash, and I'm keeping them because they're really good basics. So I've sewn 2 Nanette's yoga pants. In the past, I've used Nanette's yoga pants for work purposes. So I actually had made a black version and I'd made a dark blue version. So that sort of worked in with my corporate wardrobe when I didn't have to go out to meetings and I just wanted something comfortable to wear. And I found a dark grey black Ponte in my stash. Plus I also had purchased a dark green Ponte from Lush Fabrics recently. So here's the green version, which I have made just to make sure that I've got the length of the pattern legs correct, and I adjusted them after I finished that particular one. Then, because I found the dark grey brown Ponte, I decided to sew those up as well. But what I'll show you here is I've added an invisible pocket using an invisible zipper. And I've done that before, so I actually went back to the pants that I had done, oh look, probably 6 years ago for travel. And that hidden pocket is probably big enough to put my passport in. And that's why I developed that particular change on the waistband, so that on a long haul flight, if I fall asleep, I've got the passport zipped into my waistband underneath the pants. So that's just my way of making them more travel worthy. I can basically let you know that Nanette's yoga pants are very reliable, and I'm really glad that I can do them in a size 6 now. This week I spent a day trying to make a piece of cotton fabric work for me. I'll show you the fabric, and it was in the tile at the start of the video. Here's the fabric. It's a really soft cotton. I think it's kind of like a caramel yellow color now, and the pink spots are kind of like a faded fuchsia. Let me tell you, I didn't do a before photo because it was a dirty grey base and the spots were a dirty red colour. So there's no way that I was going to wear that sort of fabric. I don't know why I bought it. I mean, stranger things have happened. So last week I showed you this border print, and the thing with this fabric is there is no stretch at the width, but there is at the length. And so I needed to make sure that the dress has got a lining that is stable. And that's why I decided to try and bleach the colour out of this cotton, which has got no give, but it's soft and it's stable. So this is what I've used to line the border print, this border print. And it's worked really well. So once that's finally finished, I'll show that to you. I think I'll be showing you the border print dress when it's finished, if not by the end of this month, sometime in September. So hopefully you'll see that it has a happy ending. This dress has a happy ending. Last week on Friday, I spent a lot of time with some sewing friends. I think it was about 4 hours, where I was cutting out the brocade fabric and making sure everything lined up around the skirt. I've got a split running down the right hand side at the front, and I think it all lines up. Each of the pattern pieces have now been overlocked in black, and I will be revealing that dress all made up, finished, by the 29th of August, which is my video blog for #SewBold2026. And the person who's running it is What Beck Sews on Instagram. So at What Beck Sews is the person running SewBold2026. So make sure you tag her account if you're entering, and good luck everybody. On to Sew Organised Style podcast news. This week's podcast is Grace Young. She's the author of Fashion, Disability and Co-Design. So the principles of working with people who need accessible clothing are actually in this book. She spent 7 to 8 years putting all of the resources in this book. It's a really good book for educators and textile and design students. But what I love about this book is there are about 7 or 8 case studies that she's put into the book that covers a multitude of accessible ideas for sewing projects that you can adopt or develop further for your own sewing projects, either for yourself or other people. And a lot of collaboration has been put into each of the case studies, and you can also find a lot of resources on Open Style Labs on Instagram. Now this weekend is a giveaway. So if you're interested in this book, go to Sew Organised Style Podcast on Instagram so that you can win a copy of the book. And thank you to Bloomsbury Publishing for providing me with the opportunities to speak to Grace and interview her, and also to offer the giveaway to listeners of Sew Organised Style Podcast. On to Sew Over 50 news. There is a mini challenge for I think it's the 8th birthday of Sew Over 50. So keep an eye on that on Instagram. That's going out shortly. And make sure that you tag your post with @ShareSewOver50. Now, everything Frocktails is on Instagram, and this account that I've created is basically a community space so that if you are wanting to promote your Frocktails event, I always make sure that I put out a story, or I'll collaborate with that event so that they can sell tickets for their Frocktails in any country around the world. I do research whether an event is legitimate or not, because I've actually found one that I really wasn't too sure about. So if you are looking for a Frocktails in your local area, you'll find one on Everything Frocktails on Instagram. Thank you for joining me this week on my version of Friday Sews. My name is Maria. I'm known as Velo Sews on social media. I hope you have a good week sewing, and may your unpicker always be close by. This is one that's in my stash. Cheers.